Hello everyone, this is Jeb and welcome to Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez for the BRL PC Tier 1 Mexican Grand Prix. Now, there's only 12 drivers in today's race, and soon enough the cars will be getting out for qualifying. The track is currently a bit overcast, no rain visible just yet, but here's our first car coming out now. It's one of the McLarens. This car's ghosting through each other a little. And we will be on board with them in just a second, once the game allows me to. On board here with Cappy in the Alfa Romeo. I do apologise, just got to turn down the audio a little. And of course, the real question is, who is going to come out on top in the championship battle? Of course, with the very dramatic Japanese Grand Prix a few weeks back, we had Hoopalicious winning the race, while his championship rival and title rival, Ixia, finished only 8th, meaning that Ixia's 23-point lead in the championship standings went down to only 2 points. So Ixia is on 194 and Hoopalicious is on 192, meaning that barring one of them finishing 9th and 10th, there's pretty much no way that they can remain on such equal terms further into this race. One of them has to pull ahead in the point standings. Will this be Hoopalicious' day to pull ahead? And there's a yellow flag in Sector 3. There's a car spun round, I think. I'm not sure what that was. I think it's one of the Ferraris. Yep, Hermanos is stopped on track, letting another car through. Not sure what that's all about. But we'll go on board for Cappy, for his first flying lap, coming up to turn 1. Was that a corner cut? There was a slight bit of curb there. Into the DRS zone, DRS open. Coming down into the amphitheatre section, past the Rolex billboards. Nicely done, hits the apex. Of course, he's only qualifying on medium tyres, so he might be slightly slower than most other drivers, but of course, he will probably want to save his tyres for the main event. There's a loss of grip, and he saves it there by rolling off into the asphalt runoff, but that's it. That's his race done. So we're right on board with Jack 5 in the McLaren. Of course, that rainbow striped halo is very vibrant, very clear and visible. Here he comes around the final corner, pulling up to the line. And it's a 1 minute 16 flat, so 1 minute 16.08. Cappy, of course, with his mistake, it's a 1 minute 22.4. And we've got a request from chat to turn the map on, which I can certainly do. Apologies for that. So as you can see, Hermanos, of course, led the other drivers through on his outlap, but he has set a time of 1 minute 14.1, nearly 2 seconds flat ahead of Jack 5. We've got another few cars coming up to the line and setting their hot laps now. Let's just have a quick look at who's closest. This is Stryfium in the racing point, getting a bit of lock up there through the stadium section. Going round the final corner. Oh, and he's spun! There's a mistake at the final corner and Stryfium has spun. That's his qualifying lap over. What a mistake to make. And that's going to have a knock-on effect on his next qualifying. Sorry, that was his outlap. And this is going to have a knock-on effect on his qualifying lap because, of course, he's crossed the line with a lot less speed after spinning out the final corner. There was definitely a cut there from Ixia, although, will it still be valid? It's not. He comes across the line, it's not valid. Let's have a look. Who is now closest to the line? We're right on board with Fredhead in the Haas. Number 19 there, he's coming through the chicane section on the way up to stadium. Car's setting times on mediums over the bumps. Into the stadium section he comes. Very nice, touches the apex beautifully there. Over the curbs, into the final corner. Careful not to spin like Striffium did, he doesn't. He pulls away and that's across the line. He's third with a 1 minute 15.64. There's a lot of cars now coming out of the pit lane. There's a yellow flag in Sector 1. There's cars merging with speeding traffic. Asylum Blitz is on his hot lap. Adrenaline GT sits at 1 minute 17.1 in the AlphaTauri. Of course, Cappy is on his out lap. He's going to try and rectify the mistake that lost him his hot lap earlier on in qualifying. Asylum Blitz as well, and the Red Bull is going to be setting his first hot lap. And that's Adrenaline GT spinning around into the wall. We just about caught that. And I do believe he's lost a major part of his front wing. Ixia coming around now through the debris. The yellow flag signs are everywhere. And we're right on board with Ixia for the rest of this lap as he comes through the quick left, right, left. Of course, Mexico is not a track I know well, so apologies if I'm not using corner names and messing things up, but here comes Ixia round the corners, and that's almost certainly a cut. Yep, he's definitely got an invalidation there. Here he comes up the stadium section. There's another car ahead, that's Jack 5 in the McLaren. Cal the Goat sets the pole lap time at 1 minute 13.3. How's Ixia going to beat it? Nope, Ixia is pulling into the pits. Of course, he's invalidated. And Adrenaline GT is going to be pulling into the pits in a moment. Obviously, that wing damage has seriously cost him. He's going to have to fix that damage and go back out again and try and set another qualifying lap. Here we go, on board with championship contender, second place in the championship, and the Japanese Grand Prix winner, Hoopalicious in the Mercedes, as he rounds the final corners of the stadium section, ready for his hot lap. Going very wide there, putting the maximum amount of traction on the exit, pulling right up to the line. That's number 24, streaking past the camera there. 208 miles per hour, 207 miles per hour as he breaks into turn 1. Hits the apex nicely, not an invalidation yet. Very nearly an invalidation there, that was close. But that's DRS open. Here he comes now. Into the braking zone, into the left-hander. There's a lock-up. He goes a little deep, but he manages to recover it quite well. Coming into the double right-hander. Beautifully touching the apex there. Fantastic. Accelerating away, coming up to the double chicane. Using the maximum amount of curbs he can get away with there. Oh, and he's invalidated and lost the car on the curbs in the chicane. Those chicanes are a real killer for lap times. He exited into the second chicane with just a little too much speed and unfortunately lost out there. Henna's going past Jack 5. Jack 5, of course, letting him through. And Henna's spinning into the wall. There's contact, and he's lost part of his front wing. Henna's, of course, cutting the stadium there just to get back to the pits with that damage, and I don't blame him. Ruben sitting a 1 minute 15.7 to place himself 4th in the Renault. Fredhead in the Haas, of course, and he's on soft tyres. Hennes was on soft tyres and Cal the Goat is on soft tyres, so there's a clear gap between them and Ruben in the Renault, who's on the mediums. But here's Fredhead coming across the line. He might just be able to get a little touch of slipstream from the guys up ahead, but unfortunately that might hinder him. If they're lapped traffic, they might slow him down. It looks like an Alfa Romeo, so it might be Cal the Goat, who's on a hot lap right now, so that shouldn't be cause for concern, but the car ahead should be. A little bit of a curb too much there. The counter steers well. Coming into the braking zone. Lock up there, he touches the apex nicely, and the apex again nicely. Into the double right-hander. Past the crowd. A little bit more of a lock up, going on a little too deep there, but it's fine. Coming into the chicane section now. Cal the Goat pulling aside to let him pass. This section has been definitely the downfall of several laps today, as we've seen. But Fredhead manages it beautifully, coming under the Fanatec barrier now, into the stadium section. I do believe that's Adrenaline GT in the AlphaTauri up ahead, who is also setting a hot lap, and he's gone into the wall right in front of Fredhead. Fredhead, though, doesn't let it perturb him. He's gone through the final corner really well, up to the line, and it's a 1:14.6. He's improved by an entire second over his last hot lap. Adrenaline GT just spinning everywhere. I'm not sure whether that's a setup problem or whether he's genuinely struggling. Striffium, of course, we saw he lost the back end in his other hot lap at the final corner, and obviously that resulted in him having to abandon his hot lap, but he's back out again now, coming towards the final chicane section. Sorry, not the final chicane section, the double chicane section. Taking it nice and easy through there. The last thing you want to do is invalidate or risk spinning over the curves. He manages it well. Coming into the braking zone, locks up slightly, but he's fine. Coming into the stadium hairpin, beautiful round the apex, fantastic. And he goes a little bit deep into the next section. It's the final corner again. Will he spin this time? No, he's going straight into the pits. Now, I am not sure who the McLaren of Stefan is. I'm not sure if he's... Oh, apparently he is a driver. My mistake. I just wasn't sure because he joined mid-session, but... He is in the McLaren, alongside Hoopalicious, who is in the Mercedes. And Hoopalicious on his outlap, so he's trying not to trouble Stefan in the McLaren, of course. The cars will be coming out for their final attempts at a hot lap any minute now. Of course, we've got Hennes in second. Cal the Goat still with his pole position of 1 minute 13.8. Hennes on a 1 minute 14.1. Fredhead 1 minute 14.6. And then for the medium runners, we have Ruben on a 1 minute 15.7. Jack 5 on a 1 minute 16 flat. Exia on a 1 minute 16.1. Cappy on a 1 minute 16.3, Adrenaline GT 1 minute 17.1, and Asylum Blitz 1 minute 17.9. Gorzieg, Stefan, Hoopalicious, and Striffium are still to set lap times in the qualifying session. Although Gorzieg is on his outlap as well as Hoopalicious, Striffium is coming out of the pits now, and Stefan is on his hot lap, although he hasn't completed it yet. Let's stay on him as he comes up to the first corner. I do believe he invalidated his earlier attempt at a hot lap, which means there's pretty much this lap to go. He's got one chance of qualifying well, and this is it. This is his lap. Locks up a bit. Ruben retires from the session. Don't know whether it was a crash or whether he genuinely thought he couldn't go faster, but into the double right-hander now. There was a bit of a lock-up, and that's definitely cost Stefan time. Here he comes up, though, to the double chicane series. And it's an invalidation for him. Hoopalicious, though, right behind. taking it really slowly. He must have made a mistake. He's trying to conserve fuel or something. Gorzieg pulling into the pits. There's not enough time now, surely, to go out and do a hot lap. I'm not sure what he thinks he's doing, but it's not going to win him any qualifying awards today. Hoopalicious steering very strangely, I must admit. The green flag is on though, and he's got to get the perfect run out of the final corner. He does so. Very well done. Pulling right out of the final corner and across the line to start a hot lap. Of course, Exia is P6 on the grid. Hoopalicious obviously wanting to get ahead of that. Hennes retires, obviously. He's set the new pole of 1 minute 13.868. Barely a hundredth of a second ahead of Cal the Goat. But he obviously doesn't think he can do any more than that. And that's him done. Cal the Goat, though, might be able to out-qualify that. Hoopalicious locking up. And unfortunately, that looks like it's lost him a lot of time that he needs. Through the double right-hander. On the power, coming up to the double chicane section. He's taking it slowly, unfortunately. There's another mistake that's cost him time, and obviously he's decided this lap isn't worth it. Here's Striffium, though, coming around this stadium hairpin. Coming up to the final corner, a little bit of a lock up there. Quite slowly, but accelerating away perfectly fine. Going through the last corner now, a touch of curb on the inside and outside. The yellow flag, Stefan's gone into the pit lane divider, and Striffium with a 1 minute 19.8. Obviously, that's a long way off a competitive qualifying time. So this is it. It's all or nothing on this lap for Striffium. And it's the same with Hoopalicious. Gorzieg retires from the session having not set a time. That's unfortunate. Gorzieg will most likely be starting from the back of the grid. Hoopalicious and Striffium have but one chance to set a qualifying time. Cal the Goat, of course, hoping to steal pole away from Hennes, but it's not looking likely, unfortunately. We go to Striffium now, coming out of the double right-hander, of course coming into the double chicane section. He'll have to get this absolutely note perfect in order to avoid a validation. He does it well, he's on the curbs, he takes it very nicely, coming up to the stadium section, locks up slightly, but he'll be fine. Oh, there's a lock up there into the hairpin, that'll have lost him time, but he's alright, he's pulling out of the stadium, round the final corner. Where will he end up? It's across the line, it's a 1 minute 15.4, he goes fourth on the soft tyres. Wow. Hoopalicious not setting a valid time either, so this is a disaster. Exia, of course, on the soft tyres is going to try and get as far up the grid as he can to make sure he has the best chances of maximising his championship lead over Hoopalicious. There's a yellow flag up ahead. What's happened here? I don't think we're going to see it though. Here comes Exia up to the line. He doesn't really improve. It's a 1 minute 16 flat only. Cappy comes into the pits, Fredhead comes into the pits, and that's qualifying for the BRL Tier 1 PC Mexican Grand Prix. So we've got Cal the Goat, who sets a 1 minute 13.4 to snatch pole from Hennes in the final lap of the session. Hennes on a 1 minute 13.8, Fredhead in the Haas 1 minute 14.6, Striffium in the Racing Point 1 minute 15.4. He's the last of the soft tyre runners who will be starting there, apart from Exia, of course. And we'll get back to you as soon as the results screen comes up. So Ruben in the Renault is a 1 minute 15.7, Cappy on the softs 1 minute 15.8, Jack 5 on the softs 1 minute 15.861, only 0.02 of a second behind Cappy. Exia, championship leader, 1 minute 16 flat on the softs. Adrenaline GT on the softs, 1 minute 17.8, 1 minute 17.1, sorry. And Asylum Blitz in the Red Bull setting the last time of the session at 1 minute 17.9. Gorzieg set lap but no time, and Stefan and Hupalicious do not set valid laps in the session and will be starting from the back of the grid. Of course, this is Hupalicious' race to win, I think. He's got to make sure he wins to prove to Exia that he can definitely come from the back to the front. Exia, though, will be defending like a madman. There's only 2 races left after Mexico with which to defend his championship lead, and you can bet that Exia won't want to lose that in the final races of the season. We're still waiting for the drivers to load in. I do apologise for the extended silence. Five, 4, 3, 2, 1, and there we go. The session should be starting. All drivers are now ready for the race, and here we are to start the formation lap off today. Cal and Hennes obviously on the front row. Cal stealing that pole by just over 0.3 of a second from Hennes on that final lap. Of course, Hennes spun into the wall and damaged his front wing, so unfortunately he was not able to set a faster time. Fredhead in the Haas, of course, we haven't seen him so far this season. I think he may be a reserve, but he's had a truly excellent lap on the softs for third. Stryfium, of course, with that mega final lap, absolutely brilliant. He is 4th on the grid, ahead of Ruben, who on the medium tyres is 5th, faster than any other medium tyre starter. Cappy on the Alfa Romeo, on the other hand, is 6th in the soft tyres in the Alfa Romeo. Jack 5 is ahead of Cappy on the formation lap, so he should be giving that position back before the end here. He's on the soft tyres and he's 7th. Exia, championship leader, will be hoping to preserve his 2-point gap. He's on the soft tyres in the Ferrari, and the red matches the red really well. Adrenaline GT in the AlphaTauri. He had a bit of a mixed qualifying session, a decent lap but a few spins, letting Gorzieg through there. Asylum Blitz in the Red Bull, overtaking a few cars on the formation lap. He's also on medium tyres, and here's the predicted pit stop strategy. So we've got a medium soft and a medium soft medium. Gorzieg and Adrenaline GT have made contact and been disqualified from the formation lap. Stefan Hupalicious bringing out the back of the grid. This is the last place Hupalicious wanted to be today. Of course, he's got that 2-point gap to close up to Exia. Surely he's got to have to pull off a miracle to pull ahead today. Here we are though. We'll pull up ahead to Cal's camera and go to the broadcast camera for the start of the race. All the cars are now lined up. The green flag is being waved. That's 5 red lights, and away we go. It's a good start from Cal, who defends his position from Hennes at the start. Fredhead gets a much better start there from Hennes, I think, and he's pulled into 2nd place. There's jostling for position all around. Ruben gets a better start than Stryfium, pulls up around the outside. Stryfium breaks late. There's a lock-up, very nearly makes contact with Hennes, runs deep into the corner. It's a costly mistake, and there's cars going back around the grid everywhere. Cappy, Exia, Asylum Blitz, Gorzieg. Hupalicious already up to P7 in the ensuing chaos. He's kept it clean very well indeed. Stefan overtaking Cappy there. They've got to take it slowly on the first lap. Exia, I think, might have wing damage. He's definitely fallen back. No, he doesn't have wing damage. He's just had a bad start. Adrenaline GT going ridiculously wide there, nearly hitting the Alfa Romeo of Cappy. and he's holding up Ixia somewhat horrible. And there goes Gorzieg in the slipstream, trying to pass Ixia for the stadium section. He's got to back out of the move though, there's no way he can make it around. Hooperlicious carving up the field, passing Jack in the stadium section, coming out of the final corner to start. Of course, Cal the Goat still holding on to his lead. Fredhead, of course, inheriting second from Hennes. Ruben passing Striffium on the straight. Of course, he's got a lower downforce set up to pull ahead of Striffium, but Striffium's in the slipstream. He's going to try and make a move down the inside. Jack 5 is a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings, assuming that means corner cutting. That's Striffium. There's a yellow flag in Sector 1. And that's Adrenaline GT spinning around. Hooperlicious with an audacious dive there on Striffium. Striffium just having to let him away. There's no fight today for that. And that's Jack right behind Striffium. Striffium falling through the pack a little bit after his excellent qualifying lap. Unfortunately, it looks like Jack's got the run on him. Adrenaline GT with a 10-second time penalty for corner cutting. That's a serious mistake. That's going to hamper his race. And his race might be over before it's even started here in Mexico. Okay, Jack's staying behind Striffium, keeping a decent distance behind. Of course, he will have DRS and slipstream on the straight, and depending on his exit from this corner, might be able to pass Striffium up into turn 1. Here we go, DRS is now enabled. And there we go, his wings should flap open. I'm not sure why he's not enabled DRS, is it broken? Hooperlicious though catching Ruben. These two are on the medium tyres, two very fast drivers on the alternate strategy, and this will be a battle out for pure track position because Hennes, Fredhead and Cal are all on soft tyres ahead of them. Hennes slipping slightly back from Fredhead. Fredhead giving Cal the Goat a wide berth. He just doesn't quite have the pace, but he's depending really well from Hennes here. Cal is just running away with the lead right now. We've got Hooperlicious right on the back of Ruben, still coming through the chicane. He's right in the slipstream, he's got DRS open. Will he make a move into the stadium section? Very close, bumper to bumper racing. Stefan in the McLaren gets a 3-second time penalty. Ruben locks up a bit. There's a bit of a block there. Hooperlicious can't seem to find a way past. But here we go, up to the finish line. Hooperlicious will have slipstream. I do believe he will also have DRS. Let's have a look at the telemetry. And that's Striffium falling down the grid. Oh no. That's a mistake at the final corner. And from an excellent start, excellent qualifying, that's Striffium all the way down the grid. But there's no time to dwell on that because Hooperlicious has overtaken Ruben. Ruben right up against the back of him once again, getting a little bit handsy with the curbs. And yep, that's it. Ruben has a 3-second time penalty. Hooperlicious DRS, but Ruben doesn't have it, surprisingly enough. Hooperlicious locking up there. Ruben is going to be ruining himself for slightly cutting the curbs there. He got a little too ambitious trying to re-overtake Hooperlicious, and that is going to hurt his race seriously. Ixia overtaking Cappy. They're side by side at the double right-hander, although Ixia has the better line out of the corner and pulls ahead of Cappy. Striffium is a little ways behind this 3-car battle. Fredhead in the Haas getting a 3-second time penalty for the corner cuts, and that is good news for Hennes, although Hennes is still stuck behind him. Unfortunately, Hennes will have to get past Fredhead because it's getting to the point where Cal is going to assume a race lead that he can't be able to drop unless he makes a mistake. So Hennes is going to have to get past Fredhead as soon as possible and turn up the wick to 11 to get back that time that he's lost. The gaps are starting to spread out a little bit here. Ixia right on the back of Stefan with presumably overtake on. They're just going to have a look at the tyres and the telemetry on. He's very low on ERS, Ixia is, and of course Stefan is much higher on ERS. He will not have DRS. Gorzieg pulling his way through the pack. He's got DRS on Stefan. What a move up the inside. There's contact, I think there was a bit of contact. Although it might have just been desync, but Stefan is now behind Gorzieg. Gorzieg is going to be right on the back of Exia. And all of this battling is slowly bringing Striffium within the pack of cars ahead. But Ruben, 3-second time penalty again. That's going to be seriously damaging. He's one of the fastest guys in this race, but unless he gets that corner cutting under control, he's going to drop back because of penalties. There's a yellow flag in sector 1. I'm not sure why that is. Gorzieg trying to go around the outside. What a move! That's amazing. Can he hold it? No. Exia gets a better exit. They're side by side on the straight. And Exia drops back. He's run out of ERS. And he's run out of runway to catch back up to Gorzi. Stefan going for the move. Exia leaves some space. And that's Exia back down to P9. Gorzieg, fantastic move around the last corner. And Stefan with that daring dive. It's a fantastic race so far. Of course, we've only done 6 of the 36 laps. Fred had another 3-second time penalty, and Hennes has got past him at last. Hennes, although he's got past Fredhead, he's got a 4-second gap to close to Cal, which I'm not sure he can do unless he turns it up. Asylum Blitz with a 3-second time penalty for warnings. Unfortunately, Asylum Blitz is well outside the points now. Him and Adrenaline GT have already dropped back, and unfortunately I don't think that time penalty is going to make any difference at all to his race standing. We'll have a look here. Striffium, of course, now that Gorzi, Exia and Stefan have been battling for the last couple of laps, Striffium has used this opportunity to close right back up, and he is now in the fight for P8. Gorzi is pulled quite a way ahead of Exia, and Stefan will have DRS. Nope, Stefan's not got DRS, but Striffium does. He's moving up the inside, there's contact! Oh dear, Striffium tried to fit a puzzle piece into a jigsaw that was 2 sizes too small there. Oh, and he spun! Disaster! Oh, and he's reset to track there before the DRS zone. That's a complete disaster there for Striffium, who unfortunately made contact there, trying to move down the inside of Stefan where there was no space. Just a little not cautious enough, and unfortunately that spun him around. He is well and truly out of this battle now. Nearly 8 seconds down. Unfortunately, that's a mistake he didn't want to make, but hopefully he can claw that back. Fredhead, of course, still behind Hennes. He's going to have DRS and overtake mode on the main straight. Here we go, Hennes pulling in slightly on Cal. Cal, of course, is so far ahead that he won't have any DRS or slipstream on any driver. Although Fredhead is hoping that Hennes will be able to tow him further to the front, where he might be able to get enough pace to forget his 6 seconds of time penalties. Stefan gets a 5-second time penalty for speeding in the pit lane. Bit of a disaster there. And that will be Striffium up to P10. Unfortunately for Striffium though, that gap is still there. 8.5 seconds, and I'm not sure whether he'll be able to catch up to Cappy and Exia. Hoopalicious is right on the back now of Fredhead and Hennes. They're getting very close together now. And Hoopalicious, of course, he's been absolutely fantastic today. He's fought his way up from dead last on the grid. And hopefully Fredhead won't give him too much trouble. But of course Hennes will be hoping that Fredhead and Hoopalicious can either get by him quickly or not slow him down with too much battling, because he really needs to concentrate on closing that lead now to Cal. Hoopalicious though in overtake mode, he'll have DRS and slipstream. Fredhead just cannot resist in the Haas. He swerves slightly across. Here we go, up to the braking zone. Who's going to blink first? Hoopalicious does, he brakes first. Fredhead locks up, but it's well defended. Fredhead keeps second place. Henna's, of course, still leading. Cal has pitted for a fresh set of mediums. Henna's and Fredhead and Hoopalicious are going to, of course, be coming in. Fredhead pushed a little wide there by Hoopalicious. I'm not sure if that was a touch, but Hoopalicious has made it around him. Henna's, unfortunately, will have this drama to deal with on his inlet, while Cal has emerged in pretty much clear air, and he'll be hoping that Hoopalicious can just get it over and done with the overtake. Hoopalicious very nearly goes for it. Fredhead and Henna's though, 3-second time penalty, disaster for Henna's though. He needed every tiny millisecond of those 3 seconds to get back to Cal, and of course now he won't have that. So he'll be pulling into the pits with a bit of a heavy heart that he's made that mistake right before the end of his first stint. Here he goes into the pits. Fredhead getting a bit of an aggressive swerve in. Here they come into the pits then. Cappy getting a 3-second time penalty. Ruben and Hoopalicious though, a 1-2 so far. Cal coming around the final corner. Will he beat Henna's out? I think he will. Henna's coming up, and that's Cal going ahead. Cal is in P3, and Henna's will be cursing his luck. He's pulled out well behind Cal in the pits, and now he's going to have to deal with Gauzy Egg, who still hasn't pitted yet, and has effectively opened up a buffer gap between him and Cal. Fredhead, of course, behind him, as he'll be hoping to tow onto the faster Ferrari and maybe bring him within range of some other cars. Gauzy goes right to the inside here. Henna's really late on the brakes there. Gauzy just letting him through. You know, it's not worth fighting. Gauzy is on 9-lap older soft tyres, whereas Henna's is on fresh mediums. There wasn't anything he could do. Fredhead though coming up right behind Gauzy. Gauzy's got to let him through as well. Coming into the chicane section, this is probably the worst place you can pick to let a car through. Fredhead, wow, very close there. Fredhead gets the DRS and pulls past Gauzy Egg in the Renault. He'll be just finishing off the move there into the stadium section, and it's Gauzy Egg into P6. The cars are starting to spread out a little bit now. There's not much in terms of close gaps. The two-stop strategy from the mediums to the softs, I believe, is now open. Hoopalicious and Ruben may be pitting, but I'm not sure if they'll be pitting anytime soon. Whether the mediums will last longer than the softs enough to make the lap 14 window viable, I am not sure, but we'll just rest on board with Cappy here, who's coming out of the pits. Hoopalicious gets a 3-second time penalty. That's a disaster. Cal the Goat is in de facto lead of this race, and he is the only one of the on-track top 3, him, Hoopalicious and Henna's, to not have a time penalty. Sorry, on-track aggregate top 3, I meant to say. But Cappy has come out of the pits right behind Stefan in P10. Stryfium about 9 seconds back. That's a bit unfortunate, of course. But Cappy looks to be faster on the fresher softs than Stefan's McLaren. There's going to be a bit of a battle here as we come into the double chicane section. Stefan slows right down, very nearly brake checking Cappy. Cappy getting very careful with the braking. Stefan defending. He's going up the inside. There's contact, but Cappy takes the position around the outside, slides through, and that's P9 for Cappy. What an overtake there at the hairpin of the stadium section. Ixia, Stryfium, and Cal the Goat are the only cars without penalties, and with Stryfium pretty much out of the running, it looks like Ixia might be having this to his advantage as Gauzy Egg and the Renault pulls right in front of him. Ixia, of course, will be on the faster tyres and will just be looking to get past Gauzy. He's got overtake ERS on. There's a yellow flag in Sector 1. I'm not sure why that is. There's no position changes from it. but Gorzieg lets Exia back through. Exia, of course, on the soft is going to be much faster, although he's been pretty much in no man's land right now, and he's not sure if he's going to be... Hoopalicious getting a 5-second time penalty for exceeding track limits. That's a bit of a disaster for the Mercedes driver. That's going to shove him right down the order, although Exia, he must draw comfort from the fact, is quite a way behind him. He's got quite the commanding lead over this race, Hoopalicious does, so he can afford to make a few penalties and still finish ahead of Exia to keep the championship battle alive going into Brazil and Abu Dhabi. Stefan racking up penalty after penalty, unfortunately. He's got back past Capi. I'm not sure what happened to Capi, but he's quite a way behind. No, okay. Capi just re-overtook Stefan. Stefan's lost part of his front wing as we go past there. A bit of a disastrous race, and whatever collision that was has brought Struffian right back into the battle for P10. Again, the grid's pretty spread out. Struffian overtaking Stefan. Stefan makes a mistake. Nice easy overtake there for Struffian, who just pulls straight past on overtake mode. And Stefan goes down the inside to defend that. There's contact. He gets a bit deep into the corner and he spins. He goes right off into the wall. Disaster for the McLaren driver, and that's let Struffian right through. Stefan's tyres are just boiling at this point. He's just going to be spinning and spinning and spinning. There's absolutely nothing he can do. He's fallen to 12th behind Asylum Blitz in the Red Bull. Adrenaline GT getting laps now, coming into the pits. Cal, of course, on the fresher mediums has really been working hard, closing that gap, which was about 6 seconds a few laps ago. Ruben, another time penalty. He's got to watch his corner cutting. But Cal is going to probably be passing these two older tyres to take the lead of the race. It's been a fantastic strategy decision. Stefan retires from the session. That's him out of the race. Bit of a disaster. Hoopalicious in the pits. Ruben staying out another lap. And that's Cal coming past, passing Hoopalicious. Henna's coming through. Hoopalicious' camera is a bit broken. He's still showing the pit box. Oh no, there we go. Fredhead passing Hoopalicious. So Hoopalicious emerges 5th, right behind the train of all medium runners, and he's on the soft compound of tyre. Cal, of course, will be wanting to close up the gap and pass Ruben as soon as possible. Hoopalicious, of course, is on the fresh softs and is the only one realistically with a hope of mounting a challenge. Here he comes though. Right on the back of Ruben, gets a perfect run through that chicane. Goes a bit wide. That's a 3-second time penalty for going wide, actually losing time. The track limits in this game are a bit silly, but I didn't think that was a cut at all. Anyway, Cal is now on a 3-second time penalty. Unfortunately, that will probably put a lot of dent in his morale. There's contact. He's hit Ruben. Is that wing damage? No, I don't think so. But Ruben there going really slowly through the final corner, just tapped by Cal. Now Cal and Hennas are back. Cal on pole, Hennas second. Of course, it was just the same in qualifying as it is now in the race. Fredhead passing, getting passed by, Hoopalicious there in the Mercedes. Hoopalicious' pace is fantastic to say the least. Fredhead just dropping back a little. And that's it. I think the grid is starting to spread out a little bit. Here we go then, Fredhead coming into the stadium section through the hairpin. He's, of course, he's lost a lot of time to Hooperlicious, who's much faster on the brand new soft tyres. He's coming out of the final corner now. Fredhead is coming up to the line. Hooperlicious sets the fastest lap, 1 minute 15.7 on the softs. He's going to really be closing in on Cal and Hennes. Although whether he will close that admittedly quite scary 6-second gap to Cal remains to be seen, but he'll be overtaking Hennes soon enough. He's within a second now, and Hennes will just be hoping to just let him by and ride his coattails all the way up to Cal. Here we go, Hooperlicious getting very close there into the double right-hander. Cappy gets another 3-second time penalty in the Alfa Romeo. Hooperlicious with a really good run through the second chicane. Good exit, that's DRS as well, and the slipstream, and that's got him ahead of Hennes. He's obviously going to want to stay in DRS range of Hooperlicious and hope that Hooperlicious he can stick around long enough to pull him closer to Cal. Here we go, DRS for Hennes there. He's just inside the zone. Unfortunately, this looks like it'll be the only zone, the only DRS zone that he will get access to this lap. He brakes late, a little late, but he controls it, goes through conservatively. He might get the DRS, yep, he's going to get the DRS here, but he's outside of the zone now, and he's probably not going to get DRS going into the double chicane series. Gauzier further back is behind Exia, 2 seconds behind. Other than Hennes dropping back from Hooperlicious, no car is really close enough to attack any other car here. Jack 5 gets a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. Hennes gets a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. That's got to hurt, especially since he's relatively in the shot for winning this race today. The silent blitz disconnecting there. He's ghosted, unfortunately. Gauzier getting a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings there. That'll probably be a little corner cut where he's run wide. Ruben on the hard tyres, he looks like he's going to be just going on these to the end of the race. Mathematically, I think he should be able to come out in the lead if the other cars in front of him have one more pit stop, which it looks like they do, but it's very uncertain for Ruben. He's just got to keep some solid, consistent pace up. Of course, he's got to try his hardest now to negate the effect of all the penalties he's earned. Calvergo comfortably leading, coming up to a lapper car. That's Adrenaline GT. I do believe that's the second time Adrenaline GT is going to get lapped this race. There's a blue flag sign showing there, and Hooperlicious is closing in a bit. 2.7 seconds left. Although Hooperlicious has the faster pace, there's a yellow flag in 6.3. I don't know who that's for. Cal is probably going to hope that he can hold out long enough on the mediums to make sure Hooperlicious on the softs stays behind him, but I'm not sure how much longer he can defend on older and slower tyres. Hennes, of course, you can see has really dropped back from Hooperlicious. That'll be the medium tyres talking. Hooperlicious on the soft tyres that are already less worn it's something else. It's another tier of pace. There's a yellow flag in sector 2. I don't know who that is. Let's see if we can have a look. I think that was Stryfium there spinning. His car has just recently ghosted. He's understeered onto the gravel trap, letting cars through. It goes from disaster to disaster. disaster to disaster, unfortunately, today for Struffian. He spun, looked like he was back in contention, spun again, and now he's 10th. Hoopalicious just not quite in DRS range yet for Cal. But he will be at the end of this lap if he's not already ahead. Yep, still no DRS there for Hoopalicious. Cal, of course, leading the race, but he's on worn mediums now. That lock-up's not going to help any matters, and his closest other medium runner, Hermanos, is 9 seconds away, or almost 9 seconds behind. About to come up and lap Struffian in a racing point, to be exact. Hoopalicious now within DRS range. The pop-up's just come up. He's going to get DRS coming out of the chicane section. He's got to get a really good run through the stadium in order to attack Cal on the exit of the final corner and therefore pass on the straight. Adrenaline GT well behind now, 3-second time penalty though. Here we go, running through the final corner here of the 21st lap. Lap 22 starts, that's Cal in the lead from Hoopalicious. Hoopalicious though going to get DRS and slipstream. He's not even going to use overtake ERS mode, I don't think, or it doesn't look like it. Cal isn't using overtake either, or he's just turned it off, but his ERS percentage is much lower than Hoopalicious. And Exia, they're coming out to lap Exia now. Cal hasn't got DRS, Hoopalicious has ERS and overtake. Here they go into the braking zone. Cal doesn't manage to hold it. Hoopalicious goes around the outside. Much better grip on those new soft tyres, and Cal is relegated to 2nd place. He's going to have to stop again, and so is Hoopalicious. That's really unfortunate because I don't think Hoopalicious can lose now with the strategy unless he makes a major mistake. Struffian getting a 3-second time penalty there. Cappy, of course, just come out of the pits, just 2.5 seconds behind Struffian. Struffian again, he's yet to pit again. Oh, and he's spun. Speak of the devil, really not a good day for Struffian. He's just spun again on that old set of tyres, and that's pushed Cappy ahead of him. He's coming into the pits now to change over to some new medium tyres, I do believe. Oh, that's really unfortunate. After a great qualifying from Struffian, just not doing such a good race, unfortunately. Some spins and some unfortunate incidents. A lot of the grid is starting to spread out now. Cal falling behind Hoopalicious. Henna's not really being able to close the gap to Cal. The gap's only changed about 0.3 over the last 3 laps, unfortunately. But we might be able to see a battle yet. Let's go on board here with Fredhead. On the medium tyres, he's got one more stop left. He's in that pack of Henna's, Cal and himself on the older mediums, with Gorzieg on that sort of stint strategy a few corners behind. Cal coming in for his last stop now. He's going onto the mediums, and that's put Fredhead up to P3. Ruben coming up, but I don't think he's going to be able to pass Cal. So Cal basically gets some clear air, which is not what Henna's and Fredhead wanted to hear, because they're running on pretty much the same strategy as he is, and Cal getting a good outlap will just minimise their chances of closing up enough time. Hennes, of course, in the Ferrari doing the double right-hander now. He's 12.3 seconds behind Hoopalicious. I think we can all agree Hoopalicious is probably going to be the one winning this race. We are on board with Hennes. Exia gets a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings, but here's Hennes coming around the last corner. Will he pit in? I think he will. No, he doesn't. He's staying out on the old mediums, losing a lot of time to Hoopalicious. There's a car spinning. That's Adrenaline GT. Sorry, I meant to go down, not up, and that's Fredhead. Fredhead's coming into the pits for his stop. Cal, of course, has overtaken him. Fred is frozen. Oh, and teleported apparently. Luckily, that wasn't a Codemaster's bug. But Fredhead is going to come out in P5 behind Ruben on the hard tyres, and Ruben is not going to stop again this race, it looks like. So Fredhead is going to have to find a way to close up that 8-second gap and re-pass Ruben. Cal, of course, in the fresh new mediums is absolutely burning up the track, pulling that gap down to Hennes. Hennes, of course, he's on old mediums. He's going to have to come into the pits now. He's struggling for grip, and he can't quite nail the times that the others are doing. Of course, his mediums are 14 laps old. So here he comes into the stadium hairpin, out and around, final corner. In we go, out we go, and he's coming into the pits this lap. Hennes 14 laps on the medium tyres, and in he comes. Here comes Cal out of the final corner. It's a nice easy pass. Let's see what the gap is from Cal to Hoopalicious. Hoopalicious going to the pits as well, so there's a three-way fight now between those guys. Hennes coming out of the pit lane. Will Fredhead? No, it doesn't look like Fredhead's going to beat Hennes out of the pits. He's fallen just short. Hoopalicious then, with 10 laps to go, is on the soft tyres. And has Cal made a mistake? Will those medium tyres lose the advantage to the soft tyres over 10 laps? Or will Hoopalicious' soft tyres lose enough grip to make the medium survive the strategy? There's another 3-second time penalty for Hoopalicious with that bit of corner cutting. Of course, we just caught that on stream. Gauzy 5-second penalty for speeding in pit lane. That's a disaster. Penalties left, right and centre now. Everyone's coming in for their final laps, apart from Adrenaline GT and Ruben SA, who are not doing their final pit stop. Hennes gets another 3-second time penalty. Fredhead gets a 3-second time penalty. Adrenaline GT gets a 3-second time penalty. A lot of cars must have been on 2 warnings there. But here's Hennes and Fredhead right behind him. Fredhead, of course, will have the added benefit of a lot of ERS, so he can use overtake mode, DRS and slipstream to close that gap to Hennes as we come up to lap 27 for them. Jack 5, that's a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. He's cut the corner a bit there. But back to Fredhead. Will he make a move? No, he doesn't. He plays it safe. He's right behind Hennes though. He's going to have DRS into the next zone, and he's probably going to use that to pass Hennes into the next corner. He's on overtake mode. He's got enough ERS. He's conserving it a bit, which is mildly confusing. It's a bit of a lock up there. He's still right behind Hennes, just knocking on his door. Just wearing the Ferrari down. Hennes defending well though, keeping a consistent pace, consistent line. Here they come to the double chicane. They're doing well. Hoopalicious setting the fastest lap of the race at 1 minute 15.3. Cal's lead drops now to 3.6 seconds on lap 28. Henna's catching up with Ruben. Ruben, of course, on the hard tyres, he's a lot slower than the two guys behind him. It's a long shot strategy for Ruben, but I'm not sure if it'll work. Not with Henna's and Fredhead right behind. Although tyre degradation could play a role. Whether or not the tyres on the softs will go down faster than the the hards remains to be seen, but it is hopeful that Ruben could make it the most and capitalise on this. Henna's, of course, is stuck behind Ruben right now, and that's good for Fredhead, who is right behind, waiting for the second to pounce. Gauzier closing up to Ixia though, in P8. Hooperlicious just lapped him. Hooperlicious lapped him and Ixia. Ixia got a bit of a trickier exit. There's a bit of a teleportation there. But Gauzier is going to have DRS, slipstream and overtake mode on Ixia. Bit of a mistake, he goes deep into the last corner. He's not within DRS zone actually. Oh no, he is. It's come back. He's getting the warning light for fuel. He's not using overtake mode, he's just reading an Ixia naturally using slipstream and DRS. Fredhead and Henna's still not getting back past Ruben. Ruben defending with all he's got. He's got no ERS left, he's just pushing the Renault to its limits. And that's it, he's run out of straight to defend. Henna's with a massive dive up the inside. Fredhead round the outside, and that's Ruben into P5. Gauzier now behind Ixia. Of course, he might be able to make a move for P7 here. Goes a little wide on the curb. Of course, Gauzier will have fresh softs. Gauzier will have fresh softs. He's only one lap old, and Ixia, of course, the 6th lap on mediums are much slower. So Gauzier has really got to get past him as soon as possible. Here we go, Gauzier has overtake mode on. He's activated the DRS and the slipstream. Here he comes now down the straight. Pulling to the outside, and that's a pass on Ixia, very nearly. Sorry, I meant to go down. Ixia runs him wide there through turn 1. Gauzier getting the position back. Cappy retires. Let's see, what on earth was that from Cappy? I didn't see the crash, but he sort of faded out of existence. Cappy left the session. That's a disaster, a real shame. He's been driving very consistently today, keeping it real. Striffian was nearly 30 seconds back. That was a guaranteed P9 for Cappy, but oh, that's really unfortunate for the Alfa Romeo driver. Fredhead's still right behind Henna's. They've got very close pace, these two. They've been pretty close all race actually. But of course, Fredhead is behind. He's got the dominant advantage here with the ability to use DRS and slipstream as well as overtake mode. And he's got enough ERS to use that overtake mode to its fullest potential. So Henna's is going to be really seriously defending here from Fredhead as we come up the back straight on the run down to turn 1. Just look at the amount of speed that Haas has when it's on ERS, DRS and slipstream. Here we go, up the inside. Nice move by Fredhead, and he secures the position. Of course, Fredhead has DRS in the second zone as well, which is a bit of a disaster for Henna's. He can't use the quick recuperation DRS to get back within the sort of close range of Fredhead that he needs to be within. Henna's getting a worse run than Fredhead through the double chicane, drops a couple of tenths back. Fredhead is already further away from Hennes at the start of this lap than Hennes was away from him at the start of the last lap, so it'll be interesting to see whether Hennes can use what little ERS he's got left in the DRS to try and close back up to the Fredhead. He's got the DRS, but he hasn't got enough ERS for the overtake mode, and unfortunately that's going to leave Hennes high and dry. Back in turn 1 though, he is just, he goes through there quite cleanly, but of course he hasn't got the power. He's got DRS though, and he's got overtake on, or overtake off now, but it's just not enough to catch back up to Fredhead, I'm afraid. He's just got to stay within that half a second gap and hope that Fredhead is slow enough to make sure that Hennes can close up on the back straight, or home straight rather I should say. Hennes getting quite close to Fredhead now. It's a bit of a sloppy second sector from Fredhead, and Hennes is caught right up. He'll be able to use it. Exia getting a 3-second time penalty, dropping further back. Hooperlicious pretty much looking undefeated, so it looks like Exia is going to lose his championship lead by quite a margin today. That's going to be 21 points advantage if Hooperlicious wins, which means the championship lead will be going to Exia, 19 points, but that's Hennes up the inside of Fredhead, and unfortunately Fredhead just can't quite come back from that. Of course Hennes will have DRS and not Fredhead, so Fredhead is in a bit of a pickle. He's stuck behind Hennes and he can't use that quick relapse DRS like Hennes. Of course he couldn't use that either. Exia sort of sticking to the outside, letting his Ferrari teammate pass. Here comes the Haas though, through Exia into the double chicane. Here we go, DRS is open now. Fredhead is very close, he's within half a second now of Hennes. It's going to be a few swapping positions. It all depends now on the exit of this corner. There's going to be an alternating scheme, I think, of DRS and overtake modes in the final lap. And it all depends who can capitalise on that the most. There's Fredhead going up the inside of Hennes. And he goes up the inside of the Red Bull as well, the lapped Red Bull, ghosted Red Bull of Asylum Blitz. Hennes, of course, is still behind, and Fredhead getting that second DRS means that Fredhead will be able to pull ahead slightly. Over the bumps into the second chicane. Sorry if I'm not talking as much, my throat is pretty worn out after all this commentary, but Hennes is further back actually than Fredhead was, and Fredhead was from him a few laps before. Will he be able to capitalise on this? Adrenaline GT and the ghosted AlphaTauri though slowing him down a bit. There's a blue flag out. Fredhead getting a good exit, Hennes getting a good exit. Will Hennes be able to close up that gap to Fredhead enough for Fredhead to lose that podium position? We've only got 2 laps left in this race, and this is the only battle that looks like it'll actually yield a position on track. Hennes going late on the brakes, very nearly passing Fredhead. He's got the DRS and should be able to pass him into the next zone, of course. Fredhead will just have to defend as hard as he can. Hennes very low on ERS. He's going to the outside. Fredhead brakes early, and that's Hennes going through. Fredhead, of course, having none of it. He's right on the back of Hennes, right on his rear wing, pulling to the outside, and there's no space there. Hennes closes the door on him there. Well, not that there was a door really to be opened, but Gorzieg with a 3-second time penalty, but there's unfortunately no eyes in the commentary booth for that right now. It's all on Fredhead and Hennes. Fredhead, again, he's within half a second of Hennes. Unfortunately, Hennes wasn't within a half second of him. We're on to our final lap now. Of course, Hoopalicious and Cal are quite a way ahead of Hennes and Fredhead, and of course, and each other. Ruben switching to the soft tyres for a final gamble. Fredhead, of course, will have DRS. Looks like he'll have slipstream and overtake as well. He goes up the inside of Hennes. Again, what a move. Fredhead takes the inside line, and it looks like he'll be defending this podium. I don't know what the penalty situation is, but if they're equal on penalties, this will be the final battle for on-track position that we do get here today. And it looks like Fredhead might just win out here. Hold on, we've just got to go to Hoopalicious, who's coming into the stadium section in the Mercedes. That's the lapped racing point of Striffium behind him. But here he comes around the final corner. Hoopalicious makes it 2 from 2, and he has won the Mexican Grand Prix in the Mercedes. What a brilliant race from him. Dead last to first. Cal the Goat, of course, coming around the last corner now on the Alfa Romeo. Hennes getting a 3-second time penalty there, and I think that's just enough. Cal, second place. Fredhead just pulling ahead. There's fireworks or whatever colours going off. Fredhead just keeping ahead of Hennes there. I'm not sure what the penalty situation is. We'll see as we cross the line. Fredhead third. Hennes just beats Fredhead just beats Hennes to the line, but the penalties don't lie, and Fredhead is fourth on countback, unfortunately. Ruben on the fresh softs in the Renault, coming around the final stadium corners here. What a fantastic day of racing it's been here in Mexico. Of course, we've only had 13 drivers, but that hasn't taken away from the excitement, I hope. And that's it. Ruben is across the line, and all cars have finished on the lap that they were on. We'll get the full results to you now shortly. Hoopalicious, of course, a well-deserved driver of the day, and even if it wasn't, even if it was the commentator's choice, I'd give it to him. He showed a commanding grasp of tyre strategy and pace, pulled away from the dead last to first place on the grid. Of course, he had a really good first lap, and that's going to put him well ahead of Exia in the championship standings going into Brazil. Of course, there's Hoopalicious there. Cal the Goat second, a valiant charge today, but he just wasn't enough. And Hennes in third after that battle with Fredhead in the final laps that got decided on penalties. Let's have a look at the final results then. So Hoopalicious wins from Cal the Goat, Hennes, Fredhead, Ruben, Jack 5, Gauzy, Exia, Striffium, Asylum Blitz, and Adrenaline GT. Cappy and Stefan are well out of the points. Cappy and Stefan DNF, of course. Adrenaline GT 3 laps behind, Asylum Blitz 3 laps behind, and Striffium 2 laps behind. Every single driver got a penalty. There's 39 seconds of penalties for Adrenaline GT. Fastest lap of the race goes to Ruben with a 1 minute 15.2, obviously at the end there. And wow, it's been a great race. I hope you've enjoyed, and apologies if my commentary was a bit sporadic, but it's been a great race. If you stick with us, we'll be having podium interviews shortly with the podium finishes. So stick around for that. I'll be right back.
Jeb. I'm getting Hoopalicious in here for you for the interviews.
Cool, thank you.
Yeah, I used your setup, Henry, and it just Yeah. All right, Jeb. Everybody's ready.
Alrighty, so we've got Hoopalicious, our race winner, in the voice chat now for a
Yeah, I
podium
can hear you,
interview.
Hoop. Congratulations on the win and the championship lead now.
Yep. Thank you.
You, of course, didn't have the greatest qualifying. You failed to set a lap time. You were
Yeah, Jeb
dead
is
last.
the announcer guy.
Yeah, so
I don't know why he has his mic off.
It was actually pretty fun using the alt strat, doing medium, soft. Yeah, it was pretty fun using the softs, overtaking a lot of people. Well, I overtook most of the people on the mediums, but it was a fun race. It was on the soft tires, all about just not losing too much time and just getting as much time as I can in free air, trying to catch up to what's his name, Cal, and yeah, and it worked. So yeah. Brazil and Abu Dhabi are actually pretty challenging tracks for me, so maybe there'll be a challenge for me there. Thank you.
It was pretty much just all about the tires. Struggled a little bit with the tire wear and really couldn't match the Glitch's pace. But other than that, it was pretty good. It was pretty nice. Didn't really have to worry about too much. Just keep driving the whole time. I felt really good. I didn't know where Hoopalicious was because he's usually up there. So when I looked down, I saw that he didn't set a lap. I got kind of worried after that too. Thanks.
Actually, I think the tires are okay. Actually, mediums died off really bad towards the end, and obviously the softs are just really good for like a good 8-9 laps. And then yeah, me and the fourth place, I can't remember his name, Fred. Yeah, Fred. We had a good battle actually. We had pretty similar pace to race, so it's nice to see actually in track. Yeah, exactly. I knew what I was doing. I just didn't want to. I was taking it easy around the corners because the tires were hot. They were really quite worn at that point, so I was just taking it easy, just slipstreaming him really. Yeah. Thank you.